Hey everybody, and welcome back to Romantasy Roundtable, a tale of Rick and Roses. This is Rick, and I'm joined by my roses.
Amanda.
And Kim.
Yeah, we're back. I don't remember when the last time we recorded was, but nothing big or major has happened since then, right, Amanda? Nothing? We're good?
Well, I feel like we need to give everybody a disclaimer that I tripped over a bollard, which is like a pole, but it had been ripped out, so it was like a stump of a pole, and I broke my finger, and I have a concussion, and I banged up my face. So I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
I mean, that's great. That sounds lovely.
Can't compete
No
with
big
that.
deal, right? You know? But you're doing good, Amanda? Our
Yeah,
listeners,
I'm
anything
okay.
you want to know?
Yeah, I'm fine. My pain is better today. My brain is doing okay. And listeners who joined us in the last episode will recall my sister Julia. Julia is a neurologic physical therapist. Her company is called Brainwell. This episode is brought to you by Brainwell. I am getting excellent concierge concussion care. Anybody who ever gets a concussion should reach out to Dr. Julia at Brainwell. She's the best, and I'm doing okay, and it's because of her.
Does she have a cute jingle?
No, but we should write her one.
Yeah, guess we should.
Commercial.
Brainwell for when your brain needs to be well. I don't know.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. All right, so nothing big going on Amanda's end. And Kim, how are you?
I'm great. It's a long weekend, y'all. So we are on day 3 of 4 days off. And it's a Sunday, and I'm not going to have Sunday scaries today. So that's really exciting.
Yep. They're not. Yeah, they could be Monday scaries. No big deal. But we started a new book. We finally got around to start Onyx Storm. Right, that's what we're talking about?
Sixth Wing.
A couple things. Oh, yes. I want to make sure to always do this in the beginning because that's what a good podcast host should do. If you like what you're listening to, please make sure to like and subscribe to wherever you're listening to this at, and tell all your friends to do the same as well. So there, we've got that out of the way. And before we start, I sent my friend. What was that?
Can you guys hear my dog?
Yeah.
Socket.
This is Socket.
We have a new host.
Socket. She wants to be a rose.
She can be a rose. She can be a dragon.
She's reverse Andarna. She started as a black dagger tooth, and now she's a gold feather tail.
But before we start going about Onyx Storm, I'll tell you a funny story. I told Kim because you were out, Amanda, but tell you, Amanda, now. So last Sunday, when nothing big happened to you, I was talking with Rob on Discord, and I was talking to him about Fourth Wing and how much I loved it. And I was like, oh, they're picking it up as like a series or a movie or something like that. And Netflix is picking up Quicksilver. So I same dayed him Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. And I saw that it got delivered. And I texted him. I was like, Rob, go check outside. And he's like, ... okay. And because it was the same morning, and he replies back in Discord. He's like, "Did you same day me smut?" I was like, "Absolutely."
Hell yeah. I will say I'll believe like the series and movies when I see them. I feel like they picked up ACOTAR like 3 years ago, and they still haven't made it, and they haven't made any progress on it at all. So like
they canceled it.
Okay, great. So like I'll believe Fourth Wing when I see it.
But they also, because it's Amazon that has the rights to Fourth Wing, right?
Yes.
And they picked it up like 2 years ago also and have made zero progress. So
I feel better. I don't know. I think Hulu had ACOTAR.
Hulu had ACOTAR, yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty good at canceling lots of things. Amazon.
I feel like Fourth Wing is like a pretty serious budget commitment.
Yeah.
I feel like ACOTAR would have been a lower budget choice.
But Amazon's also like, they tied in with the book. They can sell the book, right? Like,
Yeah.
best-selling adult book ever. And they're actually pretty good with their shows. You know?
I also like they, sold the rights to a Wicked movie 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I'll
speaking of
believe
Onyx Storm and Akatar, so we read through chapters 1 through 16, 17? 1 through 16 of Onyx Storm. And before we even start, just general thoughts. How are you guys feeling of chapters 1 through 16?
I feel like this whole episode is going to be Rick's conspiracy theories.
Oh, yes. I'm with it. I'm so with it.
So, oh my God.
She has conspiracy theories, too.
Right? She's here.
She's with it. She thinks, she knows that I'm right. Amanda's going to be back. So what do you think? What do you think of these chapters so far, Kim?
I'm really enjoying it so far.
3 stars.
And yes, I'm really enjoying it. 3 stars. There also is a prologue, by the way, that we don't have notes for here, but it does start with a pre-chapter 1.
Okay, yeah, I definitely didn't do that. What was the prologue?
The prologue is where Violet goes down to where Jack is and overhears Zaden and Jack having the conversation, and Jack's like, Zaden, you're going to turn fully Venon at some point, don't fight it. And that sort of like sets up the rest of the book because Violet vows in her head that she's going to save him.
My notes for the prologue say, we are in it.
Yeah.
I felt like we
go ahead, sorry.
We like jumped in.
Yeah.
Like the book started and it was like, ah!
Go time.
Yeah.
So Kim said
literally
she
picks up where they left off because they left off
seconds after
with Jack, and then the next, the prologue is Violet overhearing that conversation.
So Kim says she really, really likes the book so far. 3 stars. What are your thoughts of the book so far? These chapters.
I think I like it so far. I'm once again asking to remember less information about fewer characters. I just feel like there's so many people. I appreciate that this book starts with like a chart of like the main, like the Fourth Wing squad and like who their dragons are and what their signet is, and like whether there's like some like additional people who are like the flyers that we don't really know much about. So I appreciate that. I still feel like there's some people that I'm like, what? Like, I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm reading so much right now that I'm like having trouble holding all of it in my brain. But my other note for the prologue says, Andarna scorched the Venon during battle, ? Because I don't remember that in the beginning of Iron Flame. Like, I don't remember Andarna being like a weapon in that way.
She scorched one dragon. One Venon. Because remember, they were like, I can breathe fire. She was like
super proud of it. She was like, yeah, I breathe fire.
Yeah.
Okay, so her fire can kill Venon.
Yes.
Which is different than other dragons. Right. Got it. So that's why, so that's why she's special. I mean, we know she's special for a lot of reasons, but
we've always known she's special. We've always known she's special.
She and Violet in the prologue also have this really cute conversation about where Violet's like, everybody's against me and telling me what they think that I should be doing. And Andarna, I just need you to be on my side. And Andarna's like, girl, I got you.
I love her.
She's like, I will always be on your side. And I was like, oh.
I mean, we work with teenagers. And so like, I feel like Andarna's progression from like at the beginning of the last book where she's kind of a freshman and like in this book where she's like kind of a senior, I feel like, she's like, I don't know. I'm really proud of her.
And we really are Quest Squad. Let me tell you why. We are truly Quest Squad because so what no one can see is on my left I have my iPad with my ChatGPT summary. On my screen I have my actual notes that I've taken, and on my right I have my Kindle with my quotes that I've highlighted. One quote that I've highlighted from the book, which is why we in fact are Quest Squad, is, and I quote, "So we're begging forgiveness instead of asking for permission. Understood." That is our
yeah, that's literally you.
Yeah. So, all right, let's get to it. I'm going to try. We'll keep all my conspiracies to the end. So I did take some conspiracies. Is that what you want to do or no?
we're not. I just like you say you're going to do that, but there's like no, you're not going to do that.
I'm really trying to,
Okay.
because I can start off with just one, but I'm not going to. So, all right. So, as Kim said, we start off in chapter 0, where we continue right from Iron Flame. And at the end of Iron Flame, we find out that Zaden is turning Venom. He is Venom, and he's talking with Jack, right? And in this conversation, like Kim said, Violet heads down there. She hears this conversation. She hears that Zaden is Venom. And then, like Kim said, she's vowed to save him forever.
Cure him. She keeps using the word cure.
Yeah.
Right. She's going to cure him. I have no other notes for chapter 0 because I forgot that it existed. So I'm going directly into chapter 1.
That's another Swift song.
Chapter 1.
I forgot that you existed.
It's a good song. That's on Lover.
Good job.
I did it, guys. I did it. All right, so let's see what's going on in chapter 1. This is right basically after the big battle that they had. Violet's emotionally drained. She's physically drained. She's obviously still grieving with her mother because this is minutes, hours, day about after that happened. So lucky for us that we read it like this because like back to back. Because having had to wait a year or so, I might have. This connection was instant for me.
Yeah.
Which I like.
Yeah.
So let's see what else happens over here. Then like Amanda said, things just start. There's a cadet that comes in, and basically we know that Venom are inside, and we are battle ensuing already. So the Venom are disguised as scribes, and they the quest squad, which they're not quest squad yet, but they will forever be known as quest squad from this quest squad as from this point on now. They go down because like, oh my god, they're trying to get Jack, right? So they
hold on. That's chapter 2, and I have 2 quotes from chapter 1 that we need to talk about. The first one is, "Your wings won't hold the weight of this ice," and Andarna blatantly mocks him. Sorry. Tairn says to Andarna, "Your wings won't hold the weight of this ice." And Andarna says back, "And yet yours miraculously carry the burden of your ego." Chef's kiss. Incredible. We love Andarna. This in chapter 1 is also when Tairn starts referring to Zaden as the Dark One. And
is that where
capitalized. That is? Yeah, it's capitalized the same way he refers to Violet as the Silver One, or just Silver One. And so that feels like a parallel to me that might go somewhere. And then I didn't write who said this, and I wrote it instead of highlighting it because I'm weird about my highlights. And so I wrote, "He's pissed at me for burdening you with knowledge, but then he should stop doing stupid shit that needs to be covered up." And I thought that was like a really nice way to, like, I guess, like, Zaden should stop doing stupid shit that needs to be covered up. That's the end.
That's good. So I also had a quote from chapter 1 that I pulled out, which was also that exchange between Tairn and Andarna, and Tairn snapping back at Andarna by saying, "Go find a sheep and let the adults do the work," which, like, mood, love, just absolutely made me laugh out loud. So yeah, I love their banter.
It's so good.
How do you guys, are you guys noting like chapter 1 and then make a note? Like how are you doing that? Just curious.
That's mine is It's like chapter 1, but sometimes I don't take notes. The only note I have for chapter 2 is "some soup!" !
Was that in 2? I have that in all right. I have that in chapter 3.
It like starts in 2 and then goes on into 3. Yeah.
So I don't remember where this happens between my notes and this, but I'm going to just sort of combine them. All right. So they're being attacked by the Venom, right? The Venom are trying to free Jack, and Violet, Rhiannon, Riddick, Quest Squad. They fight them. Zaden comes. He helps defeat them using his shadow magic, right? He lets everybody know that he can sense the Venom now, which is new information. I did note here, and I'm just comparing what's happening with the notes, that Violet, and I'm going to go back into this much later. This is one of my big conspiracy theories, but this is where I first noted that Violet said that one of the Venom had silver hair. like her. And she also specifically said that everyone's hair turns gray, not silver. And I thought that was a really important thing to talk about. Or
You just zoomed in.
I'm glad that it wasn't just me. I'm glad you saw that too, Amanda.
That was so dramatic.
what?
It was like everyone's hair turns gray and not silver. Like you like zoomed in as you said that.
I did that on purpose, totally, not just
That
what
was
my Mac does.
crazy. Also, Kim and I both mouthed this to each other, but you referred to her as Rhiannon, which is unhinged.
She is an umbrella.
No. I would say this like also feeds into a conspiracy theory that we'll talk about. I guess it's not a conspiracy theory. We can talk about this now. I wrote for chapter 3, something is going on with the memory sharing. Like there's something happening with Violet and Zaden and their like memory blending sharing situation that has not been addressed yet. And we get that in chapter 3.
Yeah, I forgot where did I write this down somewhere? I didn't, but I like told you guys in person, so I guess we can talk about this conspiracy theory now. I had like forgot why I did this. I googled like what dragons names translated to, and then I saw that our boy Liam's translated to ice, and I was like, that's weird. Liam was Farsight. So I like went back into book 1, and there is a paragraph at the end where he fights the Venom for the first time, and he's wielding ice. Like that is in the book.
You told me this, and then like 2 chapters later, they talk about this in the book. And so rude, first of all. Second of all, when they talk about it in the book, which I think is probably like chapter...
It's chapter 11.
I don't know. Okay, thank you. Chapter 11. I wrote Rick's for chapter 11. I wrote Rick's conspiracy theories are spoilers. But I think in chapter 11 they talk about how the marked ones have 2 signets, and that seems to be perhaps because the dragons intentionally chose them because they were marked. And so like the dragon, so the double signet thing comes from your dragon being bonded previously to one of your family members. And so it sounds like perhaps like Tairn says something about like dragons remembering. And so it seems to me like those dragons who chose the marked ones intentionally chose people within their family line to support the revolution and help create these like marked double signeted heroes, basically. So, and they'd use Liam as an example. So you called it, like Liam wielded ice. Liam clearly had a second signet. And that was ice.
Yeah, and Violet, and I know we're jumping around a little bit, but when they have that conversation, Violet asks Zaden, do all of the people from Tirandor have dual signets? And he said, not everybody, but enough that the dragons have kept track of it.
Oh, that's what it is.
To your point. And he also says too, he's like, there's a reason all of us got picked. And yes, because the dragons note that they may be possible to have double signets and therefore are going to be better at being able to save them, basically. And
they keep repeating over and over again, like dragons don't obey the rules of man. Mm-hmm. And so like dragons aren't really supposed to bond people that they are closely related to. But dragons don't give a shit what they're supposed to do. And so it seems to me like these dragons, like I'm wondering if there's like a parallel between like what's happening with the human, like with the riders and like the split there and what's happening with the Empyrean. Like if there's a split in the dragons. I'm gesturing with my club hand. Yeah.
So you just said that dragons try to bond within some choose to bond within their family lineage, right? And dragons don't give a shit and just do whatever they want. Sort of like Andarna picking Violet, huh? I wonder if something happened like 600 years ago with Violet's family.
Do you want to just talk about what you want to? Yeah. Do you want to?
No, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. So, anywho, that led me into being like, what's Violet's second signet? Because she has two dragons. Or is she Tirish? Anywho, so I started thinking about it, right? And I like looked up Andarna's name, and it was something like the honored second one or something like that.
It's second honor.
Right. Which I bet will come is something like directly in our face, but I can't see it right now.
I think it's already she's the second dragon. People don't bond two dragons. Like I didn't read too much into.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't read too much into Andarna's name when I heard it in the first book.
And then I started thinking back to specifically our Romantasy Roundtable's favorite scene from Iron Flame, the throne scene. And there was that one part where Violet like heard Zaden talking, like not talking to her. He was just thinking. She was in his head, right? Also in Iron Flame, she was having that dream with the sage, and we all felt like that was real. And I thought the sage was infiltrating her mind, but I think it's the other way around. So I think you're right. I think she is intrinsic somehow with dreams or memories or something.
There was also a scene, I don't remember if it was in Fourth Wing or in Iron Flame, where Violet is practicing wielding lightning, and Zaden like projects memories of their previous soup together into her mind, because like he knows that gets her like lightning power going, right? And so again, I don't know if that's Zaden or if that's her, if that's something about their connection, or maybe it's like the Akatar in my brain that I'm like, that like psychically thing that's happening between them is like not, I don't think that's a normal thing that happens between riders whose dragons are bonded. Like I think that they're special in their ability to telepathically communicate, and now that we know that Zaden is intrinsic and that there are different types of intrinsics, I wouldn't be surprised if Violet was a different type of intrinsic.
Yeah, I think that's what we're going.
Say that I think, and we discussed this in a previous episode, but when Violet's signet first developed, I think all of us, and speak for myself, but all of us were sort of disappointed that it was like, oh, she wields lightning, like that's boring as anything.
Yeah.
I was not disappointed at all. Lightning is cool, and you guys are wrong.
Okay, well, Rick and I are on the same page here that lightning is just like, compared to what other people had for signets, it was just like, that is bland. So I'm excited for, as we're talking about what this second signet might be, and having it being something that actually feels like cool and distinctive. And fun.
Yeah. I also like the lightning a little bit more when she can do like this. She's learning to do this Palpatine stuff, like force lightning. Like I'm getting that now I'm with that. Like the big lightning strikes me, but like force lightning, I'm with that. Let's see.
Yeah. Lightning is cool all the time in all forms.
Meh.
I wrote, who are all these cadets? Who are all these people? There are so many people, and I don't know who any of them are. None of them. I also wrote, I've
never known who anybody is ever in the history of reading a book.
This must have also happened in chapter 1, 2, because I wrote, can someone explain to me practice discs? Because they came out of nowhere. Like Mira's throwing a practice disc with runes on it to Brennan, and I'm like I'm supposed to know what's going on. So we're just in it. So as you said, we get some soup going from chapter 2 into chapter 3. Chapter 3 was very soupy. And I like that we started off like that. That's good. I was happy with that.
Okay, but here's something that I felt was a little bit lazy about the soup scene. In that Rebecca here, our good friend Rebecca, pulls out the finger trick again. And I was like, it was a thing in Iron Flame, where Kat was like, yeah, that thing with the fingers, I taught him that. And Violet was like, thanks. And so then in this first soup scene, she describes the finger trick again. And I was just like, that's unnecessary. We could have gone with some kind of new move here.
I think had we not just read Iron Flame, that would have been a pleasant callback.
Yeah. Because
we just read, like, keep in mind, these books came out a year apart from each other. And so, like, had it been a long time, we would have been like, oh, yeah. I had another thought. I do think that we're what?
I want to, just write that down. Amanda quoting, the finger trick.
I hate it here. But I will say we're not recording at school right now, and that makes I prefer that, I think.
Yeah.
We don't have the
RIP,
bell.
I know, and like RIP students being able to interrupt us. More importantly, RIP coworkers being able to interrupt us. But my other thought. So, in book 1, we have like the slow build to the soup, right? And then in book 2, it's like the soup kind of ebbs and flows because they're like together, but like whatever, right? Zaden is like, I can't touch you, because he's worried about losing control, and that's like such a theme throughout the books, is that like they make each other lose control. And so I do think we're going to get some of these like moments, whether they're like in Violet's mind or like they're in her dreams, or like this where like he forgets that he's a Venon, like until he's like accidentally drawing power from the headboard or whatever happens. Because otherwise, like, we're not going to get soup like ever again. And I don't think that Rebecca's going to do that to us. So I thought.
Yeah, so that was basically like what you just said. That was a little revelation at the end of chapter 3. We should pick it up a little bit. That he started siphoning power from the wood. I forgot what'd you call it? What is it called? It's not siphoning. It's drawing power, channeling. He's channeling.
It's channeling the power. Yeah.
Yeah. I wrote down for here. I thought this was important because this was when the pre-chapter part where it's like says the quote. Basically, it says that Violet and Zaden are the first to wield these two signets together in hundreds of years, which I thought was very important.
Yeah, so that's the beginning of chapter 6 that they say that.
Okay.
I wrote first of their signets with 3 question marks. So there have been. Is that they're the first of their signets in 100 years, or however many
together,
years?
concurrently.
Or that they're the first at the same time? Yeah.
Yes.
So that's important. And again, I think coming back to like their weird telekinesis thing, I think that again speaks to like this isn't just like a normal thing that happens to other bonded dragons.
So since my notes are off with, this time I'll write chapter numbers, but going back to the telekinesis thing, going back to Violet, and the thing that I had wrote later was Violet is having a dream. Later in this book, in one of the earlier chapters, about I think the area they're in burning, and that cat becoming the future queen of Tyrrendor. And I was like, is this foreshadowing? But no, I don't believe that. I believe that this is Violet going into Cat's dreams, and this is what Cat wants. Right? She's in Cat's head. It's not Violet foreshadowing. She's infiltrating Cat's dreams, because that's what Cat's dreams are.
So let's quickly just like run through the notes because we're all over the place. So, which is fine. Okay, so chapter 3, there's some soup, right? Chapter 4 is when Violet proposes the mission to go find the 7th dragon breed, which is Andarna's kind. They're calling them the Irid, which again, I think speaks to the fact that I read an unintentional spoiler and found out that Andarna was an iridescent like 2 books ago. Violet doesn't get to pick her team. She's really cranky about it, but she does give like a list of Andarna's demands, which I think is kind of cool. And then she receives a threatening note from Takaris that she has 3 days to meet a bargain. I don't know what's going on with that, and
Neither do I.
Yeah, I don't really care. I don't know. Chapter 5 is when we meet that Venon with silver hair, and they also. So there's like some tension between the Navarian and the Orishan cadets, and Violet intervenes in a fight to protect her squad. In my notes, I also wrote that the cadets are not taught to de-escalate, and I think that's really important. Like, again, speaking to what we've been talking about how like they're trained as weapons, they're trained to burn out, they're not trained to be like have control at all whatsoever, which I think, because control is so important to Zaden, I think that, again, shows just how, like, significantly different he is. I also wrote, OMG, Cat, get it together. So I don't know why, but, like, I feel like Cat she just makes choices to be cranky sometimes. And I'm like, girl.
Actually, I wrote a note about Cat, and the opposite, that I actually really liked her in one of these chapters, because I think she's purposely having people start fights with her power. And I was like, yes, I actually kind of love that.
I also like in this whole like tensions between the Orishan and the Navarian cadets, I'm like, I don't understand at this point in the game why the Navarian cadets are mad. The Orishan cadets were right.
Right.
It's clear that they were right, and they came back and rescued them. So, like, I don't know if I'm missing something or if this is just like, I don't know. Again, speaking to like our associate head of schools assertion that this is a young adult book all grown up. Like, I'm just like, I don't understand why they're being such like petulant children about this. Like, the Eurasian cadets were right. Like, why are you mad at them for leaving?
Yeah, I know. And then they keep saying like, you abandoned us and you in essence sort of dismantled the war college,
and literally saved everyone's life.
Necessary.
Literally saved everybody's life.
Right. Saved everyone's life. I will say a couple of things feel kind of lazy to me in these chapters. That's just going to be my word for the day. Everything feels lazy. But in chapter 4, when Violet's going to propose this mission and they're asking her in advance before she goes in front of the council of like, are you prepared for this? You know, have you thought through what's going to happen? And she's like, I've had, you know, days to figure this out and I'm ready for it. It seems so obvious to me that of course she's not going to get what she asks for creating this quest squad and coming in with demands for Andarna. And yet she was like so shocked and surprised by that. And so I was like, that was really obvious that this was not going to just like magically work out. And likewise too, in chapter 6, it felt like there was this huge buildup to like, what's going to happen to Zaden? Are they going to pardon him? Is everything going to be okay? And it became like this super non-thing that they're like, oh yeah, of course he gets his title back. Of course he's just like, now he's the Duke. And I was like, that also felt kind of lazy to me because it was like this build up and then it was just like, oh yeah, no, he's the Duke.
I loved in chapter 6 though, like I agree with everything you're saying, but I loved in chapter 6 when Zaden comes back and like, I don't really remember the context, but it's before it's before they tell Violet that he got his title back and they're talking about like who Violet's going to be in the future. And Zaden says something like, well, she'll at least be a duchess. And I thought that was really cute. And then we find out that Zaden's the Duke. Love that. One of Andarna's requests on her list was that she wanted to be able to hunt in the King's Forest. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was really cute too.
Yeah. That's cute. I like that. I wrote this down because I was like, oh, damn. Dane King Bitch is back.
No, he is Prince Bitch. His dad is King Bitch.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. King Bitch is back.
Oh, he is back.
He's back.
He's like Emperor Bitch. Like he.
I wrote Dane's dad came back and said he had no son. God damn.
Yeah, I wrote, damn, Daddy Dane. Fuck that guy.
Yeah. That I thought we were done with him. We are the opposite of done with him.
Yeah. No, I wrote that for chapter 8, though, just so we're aware.
So
timeline wise.
All right, let's get to chapter 8. So basically, in chapter 7, the Violet and look, they've named it Quest Squad at this point. I am truly believing that we're getting the group back. We're getting the band back together, right? Like
you were so hopeful for this because you're like, yeah, Quest Squad.
I'm telling you.
What we know of Quest Squad right now, it's not good.
They're not. That's not fam.
Yeah.
I wrote this down, and this is wrestling. This is wrestling 101. Okay. I'll come back. So I'll go back later. So Violet says, Zaden will, I think back once they're together and she's worried about him being Venom. She says, he'll never go too far. He'll never lose his soul. And in terms of this Quest Squad thing where all the bad people, the fam aren't here, I get that. And with Violet saying that, in the wrestling business, we call this reverse momentum. Okay. As in like, we're setting us up for something bad and we're just going to get the good thing. In wrestling, every single time there's a pay-per-view, right? On the show before it, the person who is winning, who leaves that show like victorious, always loses. Called reverse momentum. All right. I'm telling you, Quest Squad is going to be together, and it's going to be who we want, and it's going to be who we know. Saying that right now. All right.
Comment down below if Rick is right. All right. So in chapter 7, Violet and her friends secretly alter the ward stone to protect the Eurasian flyers from detection. I have no idea what the fuck happened in this chapter. Like, I don't understand what they did. I don't know. I don't know what they did.
They changed it. Yeah. They changed it so that the Eurasians could chant ward, use magic.
Okay. Right. So this was the ruin that Mira had gone back to Aricia to get created, basically, and the one that she threw at Brennan to be like, I did it. Basically, like, made this disc that could alter the stone. so that the Oratians would be able to channel as well as the Navarans in Bascaeth. I liked this scene solely because we got to see Sawyer come and have a moment. And so he got to come out of retirement to be able to use his signet to help with the process. And that was an important thing for our boy who's been holed up in, with his leg.
Infirmary, yeah.
Yeah.
I will say, like,
by a Venon. So
I don't think I wrote this down, but like they like Tairn made accommodations for Violet. They're making accommodations for Andarna. Like, I don't see why we can't get Sawyer a prosthetic leg and he can just like live his life the same way that any other rider does. I also I feel like Rebecca has been really like pro disability in this book. Like, I feel like she's been like really like kind and understanding as an author about what's going on with Violet, and kind and understanding as an author about Jacinia. And like, it feels very, I'm not explaining this well because I have a concussion, but it feels very much like disability as a neutral difference rather than as a deficit. And so I would be really shocked and frankly like appalled if we didn't get some kind of Sawyer prosthetic redemption arc. Because I have this image in my head that that's not who Rebecca is.
Well, I think we're getting there. Remember, again, it's days after this just happened, so he's probably still struggling mentally.
For sure. You know? I just mean like they've alluded to like no riders ever, and it's like, okay, well, like no riders ever had two dragons, so like I don't know.
Right?
Is Sawyer going to get the Liam treatment?
I don't understand what you mean.
Like,
is he going to like come back and save the day and die?
They're not going to kill him. He would just come back and save the day.
Yeah, they're not going to. They've already almost killed him. Right. So then in chapter 8.
Yeah, I like this chapter.
So when they do this shit with the ward, it's treason, right? But they do it, the timeline they do it, because they're about to make this like accord that pardons the separatists, or like the people who left for Orisha, for everything
they've done from the point that they've signed that accord.
Right. Which, again, I'm going to use Kim's word, thought was kind of lazy, but it's fine.
I liked it.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's the best way they could have done what they could have done. And the Queen of...
now we're getting to rough territory.
She rewards Violet with access to a private royal library, which Violet is planning on using to help find the cure for Zaden. And then Daddy Dane retaliates and sends Violet's squad and all of our friends to Samara for a punishment mission.
Always happy to reward a book girly, by the way.
I love...
Here's your big reward. You can go read in the library. Love.
10 out of 10. I also... We'll talk about what else we're reading right now, but I just read a book that I loved, and they like referenced being a book girly in the book, and like that the main characters are both reading all the time, and I thought that was really cute. Okay, chapter 9. They get to Samara. Marin's hometown is under attack. Violet puts it to a vote, and the entire squad chooses to go save the town. I don't know if this happens in this chapter, but Marin's parents are dead, but her brothers are alive. Right. Marin is Kat's bestie, right?
Yes.
That's the one I said I am?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In true Romantasy Roundtable fashion, I am holding a plushie. It's a waffle.
I wrote, Violet being a book girly, I wrote this. She's told by the commanders, and she overhears this. Like, they say it doesn't make before they make this vote, they're attacking Marin's town, which is a very small town, like insignificant town, right? It holds no weight in anything to win a major battle, and the commanders tell her like it doesn't make any sense why they're attacking a small town. And then Violet ends up being surprised that it's a trap. Has she never read a book? Like, does she not? Like, this is like basic storytelling 101. Violet.
I don't think Violet reads fiction. I think she only reads nonfiction. We've never heard of her reading anything fiction except for that book of fables that her dad, which isn't actually fiction, right? Like it was about Venon and Wyvern. So chapter 10 is the trap. Violet and Tairn arrive first and engage the Wyvern, and then the silver-haired dark wielder introduces herself as Theophany.
I call her Theophany.
Here's what I wrote. I wrote, oh no, what if Rick's right about Violet? Because I don't like that conspiracy theory where this is like alternate universe, future, past, parallel Violet. I don't like that. I will be really disappointed if that's what happens. And then I wrote, Theophany is a really fucking stupid name.
It is. It
is. It's not great. It's not great.
And then Zaden sends Garrick to protect Violet. And this is where we find out that Garrick has a second signet. And can move. He fast.
Yeah, what a second signet to have.
That's a good second signet.
That's amazing. Yeah, the Far Walker, they called it.
Mm-hmm.
Walker. Yeah. I will say, so one of the things that happens in 9-10 here, this scene is sort of encompasses multiple chapters, but they're going to stay at this small town, Newhall, and Tairn ends up getting stuck into a tornado, basically, and runs into a cliffside and protects Violet, so she ends up being okay, but he knocks himself out for a while. And when he wakes up, Violet's like, oh my gosh, how are you? And Tairn responds with, I'm not deceased. And I was like, that is also all the feels. I'm going to use that from now on, too.
Why didn't I use that when I fell?
Yeah.
You are not.
I'm not.
This is so he has a conversation with Theophany. We learn a couple things about Theophany. I don't know how you guys would pronounce her name. That's not pronouncing her name. But I want to talk about a couple things here. I'll start with the funny, and then I'll talk about my Violet theory, which I hate how I can't unthink about this anymore. So poor Violet falls and dislocates her knee. Right. And she's like all crying and in pain, and like they have to pop it in, and poor Violet. And in my head, I just see Sawyer looking at her like, this bitch. Or you with a dislocated knee. All right. But Theophany. She knows everything about Violet. And she says, I know everything about you, and it has nothing to do with Jack Barlow. Like, he's told me nothing about you, which I thought was strange. And then so basically what Amanda said, I'm like, is she Violet? Like, is Theophany Violet from either an alternate universe? I don't want to say alternate universe. I don't like that. That's weird. But time. Is she a timeline Violet? Because we've already established a time power with Andarna in book 1. She could stop time. Who's not to say that something couldn't have gone back in time? Is this Violet in a different timeline where she chose the wrong path? And I say this because she has silver hair just like Violet. Not only that, but she also has a lightning signet. She wields lightning just like Violet. Then she also says, sometimes I forget how, Theophany says, sometimes I forget how short mortal memory can be. So, like, is she just referencing a time where she used to be human? There's a lot of parallels here between her and Violet that's really just, like, right in my face and I'm probably 100% wrong, and I probably stretched this so far to convince myself, but it's just, like, so many parallels.
It feels like such a leap for me. So
did a half-sister, like...
Oh, sorry, alarm. My thought process was, are they somehow related?
Right, I'm with that too. That's fine. I'm good with that. That's good. Yeah.
So is there a family tree here that we don't necessarily know a ton about?
Do the other Sorengales have silver hair? I don't remember. I thought her mom did.
Yeah, I thought it was something that was because all the people could recognize Violet because of her silver hair. It makes me feel like
I read back chapter 1 of Fourth Wing, and Violet, during my little deep dive, and Violet says, like, my silver hair came about because my mom was sick when I was she was pregnant with me, and that's why I'm so weak or something like that.
Yeah, because she has, what's it called? Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. They don't say that, but that's what it is.
Fair.
Okay.
Okay, so Yeah, so Theophany tells Violet she's a leash for Zaden, and she reveals that Venon can have signets, and we're supposed to be shocked by this revelation, like Zaden is not still wielding shadows.
Right.
So I don't know why that's surprising. So they go back to Bisgayeth, and Violet, you know, I don't know, does some shit. So that's where we find out. We've already talked about this. Garrick's a distance wielder. Many riders have hidden second signets. Theophany is lightning. Great. So chapter 13, Jacinia is punished for helping Violet. She's kicked out of the adept path, but she's basically like, fuck you, it was worth it. We stand Jacinia forever and always. Amen. Violet, Rhiannon, and Riddick visit her in the archives, and she provides some books suggesting that they go to this like island that may be connected to Andarna's kind and to past uprising. And then Violet also realizes that her father had so her dad has some hidden research, and it's hidden in Dane's dad's quarters, because those were originally, like, that's where Violet grew up. Those were her parents' quarters. But now that Violet's mother is dead, Dane's dad is the one who is living there. I wrote, this is where I wrote, if they can make accommodations for Violet, they can make accommodations for Sawyer. I also wrote, I don't love war. I just, like, I understand, like, as a Romantasy reader, like, the war is going to happen, but, like, I'm so not interested in it. These places' names are gibberish to me. I don't care. And this is also the chapter where Zaden joins Bisgayeth as a professor to avoid being stationed at the border, because he's stationed at the border. He's far away from the wards. He's outside of the wards. It's like too tempting to do Venom shit. So he comes back as a professor. And I just have to say, I am extremely, forever and always, in every context, extremely disinterested in professor-student relationships. I do not like, he's like, can we get an exception? And they're like, no. And I'm like, yes, no, because the answer is no. I'm not interested in that. The end.
My note says it's giving Pretty Little Liars to me.
Yeah, which I got a season into and was like, I can't fucking watch this.
Right,
I'm just not interested.
Yeah, it's disgusting. Chapter 13 has a couple of moments with Riddick, where Riddick gets like torn down by everybody in what we're currently calling Quest Squad. First off, I had the quote written down where they were talking about his love life, and someone made the comment of Riddick bed hops like a fucking frog, which just again made me lol.
I did that too.
I love Riddick.
He like makes a joke sort of like at Jacinia, and Jacinia is like not having it, and so she gets super super big mad at Riddick, and I sort of love that he's getting a little bit of his comeuppance, because he's great. He's the comic relief. We need that, but it's good for him to get checked every once in a while.
Agreed.
I also wrote a thing from Riddick, and we'll move on after this, but it was like, oh my god, am I Riddick? Because he's like, guys, Andarna is an irid. Is that like short for iridescent? And they're like, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Great.
So we're in chapter 14. Zaden is a professor. He asks for an exemption. General Ados is like, fuck you. Violet asks Dane to help retrieve her dad's research. She has to trust Dane alone to do it. So
we don't know yet.
And this is also, Kim was talking about the way that Riddick was talking to Jacinia. I have said this to you guys off the pod, and I think I alluded to it a little earlier. I feel like Rebecca Yarros knows sign language. I feel like she gets sign language. I feel like she knows deaf people. Just the way she talks about it, and the way she talks about like gestures versus signs, and like people knowing it, and like interpreters. Like I feel like she gets the nuances in a way that like she's at least taken an ASL 3 class. She might know sign language the way that our students who graduated 10 years ago do. Like she might not be proficient in sign language, but like this woman is, she didn't just learn this for this book, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Take us home, Amanda.
All right, chapter 15, Zaden's teaching his combat class. It's called signet sparring. He's beaten everybody. He says that Violet is the only person who can defeat him. Violet spars with him. She channels lightning. She illuminates the arena. He like smothers her in shadows and challenges her to find him in the dark. She teaches him to he teaches her to track his unique shadow signature. Chapter 15 is also when we get the most important line in the whole book, which is where Violet is reading with Andarna as a backrest. Bless. Chapter 16, Zaden and Violet, while she's being like shrouded by the shadows, they kiss. She releases a powerful lightning strike. She's the only one who lands a strike. Quest Squad prepares for their mission. Aura is assigned as Violet's companion. She's essentially a spy/chaperone, and Violet and Zaden try to sneak moments together while navigating increasingly restrictive supervision. At some point in chapter 16 or 17, we go to Hogsmeade. I don't know what it's called because it's Hogsmeade, and they drink lavender lemonade, which sounds delicious.
Like butterbeer.
Hogsmeade with better drinks.
Agreed. And then, did we read chapter 17?
I think this is actually chapter 16.
It's chapter 16, yeah.
Yeah, because I have these notes under chapter 16 on my phone.
Oh, maybe the prologue was chapter 1 and all of these are...
Probably, yeah.
Oh. Yeah, okay, so in the last chapter, Squad Night out at Chantara, Hogsmeade.
I would never remember that.
Yeah, place names are gibberish to me. Violet is reflecting on how Zaden is dangerous. She insists that she's never afraid of him. She's only afraid for him. I think that's a really important distinction. And Violet confirms that the Quest Squad is flying north, but she really thinks that they should be flying south and that they're wasting their time. And as we know, time is precious.
And then we ended, basically the chapter ends with a cliffhanger for us. We stopped to keep pace with each other, was that we need to put our faith in Dane, because Violet agreed to have Dane single-handedly by himself go into the office and retrieve the notes that they need. And bringing this back to everything is wrestling, I wrote that this whole thing with Dane, what this is going to be in the business, we call this a reverse heel turn, right? So Dane is going to get the book, and then, we're worried that he's going to give it to his dad, and he's going to give it the thing to his dad, right? And we're going to be like, oh my God, Dane's the worst, but he's actually going to give him the wrong one, right? He's going to reverse heel turn, where we think he's bad, but joke's on us, he's actually not. So I think that's what's going to happen.
I feel like everything in this book has been only this book has been wrapping up really neatly. Like, we're getting presented these plot points and it's like, oh, this is going to be a big thing. And then it's like, oh, that was actually really minor. Because I feel like Dane already had his redemption arc in Iron Flame. He was the one who killed the general, and then he was the one who helped with all the research to figure out how the wards were actually working. Yeah. And so I feel like they're making a big deal out of having to trust him, and it's really going to be minor. And he's just going to be like, here's the research you asked for.
A couple things that I wrote before we wrap this up. I wrote, there was a scene, I don't remember when it happened, but I think it was at Hogsmeade. Traeger says to Kat, because with Kat's still on Zaden, Traeger says something along the lines of, forget him, there are others around. And I'm like, ooh, Traeger has a game, he wants some Kat. So Traeger and Kat. And the other thing they were talking about that Rick and Lynx haven't had their signet manifest, and if they don't, they're going to explode. And I'm like, oh my God, Lynx is going to explode if he doesn't have his signet manifest. But who's Lynx?
Yep.
Yeah. 1,000% that.
Is it even a guy? I don't know. That person.
So Lynx will explode, and Rick won't. Is what's going to happen.
Yeah, Rick can't explode. He has to be king.
Yeah.
I'm Lynx. Explode.
And the last thing
I'm Marin.
You're Marin. The last quote that I wrote that I copied from on my Kindle was Riddick, again, my spirit animal, saying to Violet, I'm either completely in love with your boyfriend or utterly terrified of him.
That's a fact.
All right, so I really like this book so far. I thought it's been very fun. I've been enjoying it more than the other book, and then Iron Flame, at least the beginning of it. Maybe because things are wrapping up so quick, but I've thoroughly enjoyed it. So, What do we think is going to happen next?
Well, it's the third book in a fantasy series, so war is coming.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna fly north, and clearly it's gonna be wrong.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if they're gonna fly north.
Okay.
You think Quest Squad? You think Friend Squad is gonna go rogue and fly south?
Yep.
Before Quest Squad can do it?
No,
Quest Squad is not Friend Squad.
Right.
Quest Squad is Friend Squad. Quest Squad is Friend Squad, and
but that's not who's actually being. Okay, got it.
You know what I'm trying to say? Like, they are actually the Quest Squad, and they're going to go south and do the right thing, while the stupid people are going to go north. That's what I think is going to happen.
I think so. Theophany, and I'm going to just be really honest here. I really hate Theophany. But
the name or the character?
The character. I just don't like the idea of her. Period. And it felt silly that she was like staring at Violet while Violet couldn't channel because Tairn was knocked out, and she didn't just take her out then. It was just like, this is like, you literally could have killed her and this book is over.
It feels like in The Incredibles where like Syndrome is like, you got me monologuing. Like, that's how I felt about it.
Exactly. But I do think she talked about how Violet at some point is going to go to them for training. And so I don't know how or when that's going to happen, but clearly that is some foreshadowing there that Violet is going to end up with the Venon and either training her lightning signet or like trying to figure out more info from them to be able to cure/save Zaden.
Yeah.
We also didn't talk about how the fact that Violet visited Jack in these later chapters, and he was on like his deathbed basically and was expected to only have like a few hours to live. And she was like, I will give you food, quote unquote, like give him basically channeling power that will save you if you answer questions for me. So I expect that that's something that's going to continue also.
And then they've been using Imogen to reset his memory and do it again.
Yeah. My conspiracy theory is that Venon are not inherently bad. I think the Venon we've met so far might be bad. Theophany, I don't know or care. I mean, I should care, but I don't care in this moment. I don't think she's going to be able to cure Zaden. I just think he's going to be some kind of Venom that's not bad.
Fair.
Yeah, so I wrote, and then I said I was going to say this at the end. The beginning of the book, and I think all the books, but definitely at least the last two, because I've read this before.
Every of the books. Every of the books.
Every of the books says this is being translated by Jacinia from Navaran to actual English or something like that. So my question is, like, at the end of the very last book, like, is everyone dead? Like, is Jacinia just...
I hate this so much, and I'm not going to be able to articulate how wrong I think you are because I have a brain injury. But, like, I just, like, no. Because the victors get to write the history. And so, like, it's like, yes, it's translated by Jacinia, but that's her fucking job. So, like, I don't think that this is an indicator that they're dead. I hate this conspiracy theory. On the list of conspiracy theories you have, it's at the end of my list. I hate it.
This is like
so
Lost.
At the end... Good. This is like Lost. So at the end, mark this moment down, when Jacinia says, and that's the story of your parents, Liam. I hope you enjoyed this book.
And that's the Princess Bride.
And also
it's
How I Met Your Mother.
Reading the story to their child, Liam.
Fine.
But
Jacinia
then I also
wouldn't name her child Liam. Jacinia wasn't tight with Liam.
It's Zaden and Violet's child.
Ugh. Okay, I would like to go on the record that I'm not interested in Violet having a baby. I'm not interested in it. It's like, that would be the laziest thing in the whole world. I'm not interested in her having a baby in this book series. They can have babies down the line, I don't care. But it's like, that is such a cop-out, and every book does it, and I'm over it.
I'm fine with that. I'm just throwing things out. And the last thing I wrote was, we can't trust the scribes. The scribes might be the ultimate. Jacinia, yes, but like, we might not be, like, they might be the ultimate bad guy. Like, we might not be seeing them yet at all. Because we've heard so many times that, like you just said, Amanda, like the victors write the stories, and this is what the scribes have been doing. So, like, have they been altering literally everything that we know, right?
Right. And they had no
and
history of the Wyvern and the Venon in the archives, and yeah.
because of the scribes. And then I wrote, is this Zootopia and the little lamb is the bad guy? So that's what are my thoughts. This is Zootopia now.
All right.
In our last 3 minutes here, we've thrown out movies.
We got to wrap it up. All right. So our homework is to read chapters 17 through 33. That means when you see chapter 34, you stop. That's the plan. We'll do a quick little, what else are we reading?
Go ahead, Kim.
I am currently 70% into Quicksilver. So picked up another Romantasy thanks to not Rick's recommendation, even though he read this and enjoyed it, but Annie's recommendation, because she also just finished it. So it's been actually really enjoyable so far. 3 stars.
I think that's probably the series that I want to read. Quicksilver, the second book. The next book comes out in the fall.
November,
so I wanted to read it in the fall. So if you listeners, Cindy, are Quicksilver fans, we'll get there.
Yeah, I want to reread it.
Yeah, I'll reread it too.
I want to absolutely
listen now also.
I'm reading a series called, I finished the first book, The Serpent and the Wings of Night. It is the Crowns of Nyaxia series. And Annie and I had a moment. I was like, Annie, what are you reading? She's like, I'm just started this new book, The Crowns of Nyaxia. I'm like, I just finished the book. And we had a moment. It's very good. It's about vampires. I've read the first book, the first novella, and I am 23% into the second book. They're great. Really good.
I don't know if I've mentioned this on this podcast, but I have brain injury, and reading's the only thing that feels good right now. So I've read 3 books this week. I read Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I loved The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and this is only the second Taylor Jenkins Reid book that I've read, but I really liked it. 4 stars. Then I read The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy, which is the first of a series that takes place in the same universe, but they're all different love stories. So I loved this book. I gave it 4 stars, but I can't stop thinking about it and really think I might adjust it to 5. I really loved it. It was like just the right. It's basically like You've Got Mail meets like a Miyazaki film. Like it's like so like cute and gothic, but like they're writing letters and like the romance is cute and like it's predictable, but like the soup was good and like I don't know, I just really liked it. 4 or more stars, TBD. And then I just read a YA contemporary romance called Wish You Weren't Here. That was fine. I give it I'm not the target audience out of 5.
I forgot to give my...
What?
It's on my Libby list right now.
Yeah, no, it was cute. You could read it in a day. I gave it 3 stars. It's not for us. I recommended it to my niece, who is 11 and queer.
The Serpent book, actually, I'm giving it 4.5 stars. So screw you, Goodreads. I need to give it this 1.5 star. It was really good. And the novella, I gave 5 stars. That was really good. It's a really great series. It's a really great series. All right. So there we go. We have our homework. We are into Onyx Storm, and I'll probably go start reading that right meow, honestly, because I want to know what happens next. So, thank you all for listening. Amanda, feel better.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.